What is up, everyone? Welcome to round one of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons April 2025 tournament. We got some really cool decks to show you, so let's get into those deck lists. First up, we have Rob returning to the camera with a brew he brought last month, Red-Green Sneak Attack. It looks like this one has seen a few changes since last time. But if you're not familiar with the list, it all revolves around a Sneak Attack, a 4-mana enchantment that lets you pay a red to put a creature from your hand into play. It does give haste, which is relevant, as you do have to sacrifice at the end of your next turn. However, he's looking to get as much value as possible out of that creature because we're playing some big fatties. The big hits for Sneak Attack is Butcher Orc, which is a 7-drop 6/6 that may divide its combat damage as you choose among defending players or any number of creatures they control. Phantom Neshoba, which is a 7/7 trampler with pseudo lifelink and actually can't be destroyed through combat damage, which is kind of neat but not super relevant when it's getting sacrificed. Dragon Tyrant, which is a 6/6 flying trample double striker that also has fire breathing. Shivan Worm, which is a 7/7 trampler that when it ETBs, return a red or a green creature you control to your owner's hand, which we'll get into the smaller creatures on why that might be relevant. And Nicol Bolas, one of the OG Elder Dragons, which is a 7/7 flyer, and when it deals damage to an opponent, that player discards his or her hand. Now, notably, his list last month was running Natural Order, which was another way to get at least the big green creatures out onto the board. However, this time it looks like he's opting more just for the impact of the creature hitting and not having a constant threat on the board. Now, I did mention the Shivan Worm being relevant as it does bounce a green or red creature back to your hand, and that is particularly good because you have Fierce Empath, which is one of the ways this deck can go find those creatures to put in your hand to then sneak attack. He's only running 2 of them, but they are a very good card, and it looks like he's also opted just for more good low drop creatures. We do have some mana dorks like 4 Birds of Paradise, 2 Finhorn Elves, 2 Llanowar Elves. There is 2 Blastoderms, which are just fantastic cards by themselves. A Horned Kavu, which does a very similar thing to Shivan Worm in that you're able to bounce some of your creatures back for added value, say those Blastoderms, being able to play them out again once their fading counters get low. And 4 Call of the Herds, which is just a very good card. For spells, he's got 4 Lightning Bolts, the 4 Sneak Attacks that I mentioned before, 2 Living Wishes, so we'll get into the sideboard in a bit, 3 Sylvan Libraries, and 2 Naturalizes. For lands, I do want to call out these amazing forests that he has altered. They are, I think, peels is the correct term for it, basically taking art from existing cards and putting it over the top of the land cards. It looks super cool, and I just love the really classic assortment of just big green monsters. Besides the 6 forests, he's playing a Reflecting Pool, 1 Wasteland, 4 Carplucent Forests, 1 Winston Heath, 4 Wooded Foothills, 2 Bloodstained Mires, and 4 Mountains. Now, notably, those Bloodstained Mires and Winston Heaths don't go and fetch swamps or plains, but they do shuffle your deck for Sylvan Library, which I think Rob is valuing pretty highly here, being able to get his Sneak Attack combo online. As for the Living Wish, it actually looks like he doesn't have as many targets as I thought. He does have a Wasteland, as Living Wish can grab lands, a Caller of the Claw, a Ravenous Baloth, and a 1 of Dragon Tyrant. So a little light on the extra threats in the sideboard, but that's fine because he's just got some good sideboard answers for what are, I'm assuming, pretty bad matchups. He's got 1 Pyroblast and 2 Red Elemental Blasts, 2 Tormod's Crypts, 3 Simoons, which is very nice, especially against more aggressive decks. We do tend to have a decent amount of those in our meta, 2 Tranquil Domains, and the 3rd Naturalize. Overall, a really cool deck, some really cool alters, and just a really cool game plan in general. I really hope we get to see it pop off. But before we get into the games, let's see who he's playing against. Next up is another crazy awesome brew from Teebs with Barbarians. Going through the list, you see 4 Fire Blasts, 4 Bolts, and 4 Shocks, and you think, oh, this is just going to be a sly list. And then you hit the 4 Ruby Medallions, and you have to wonder what's going on. And then you get to the 4 Possessed Barbarians, which is a 4-drop 3/3 first strike that has Threshold. It gets +1/+1 and is black, and it has 2 and a black, tap it, destroy target red creature. And you start to question what you're actually seeing. Then you see Kamal Pitfighter, 6-drop, haste, 6/1, tap it, deals 3 damage to target creature or player. 4 Hellbent Raiders, which is a first strike, haste, 3-drop 2/2. It has discard a card at random from your hand. It gains protection from white until end of turn. 2 Jessica Warrior Adepts, a 4-drop 3/1 first strike haste with tap. It deals 1 damage to our creature or player. 4 Balthar the Stout, which is also a 3-drop 2/2. All Barbarians get +1/+1, so it is a Barbarian Lord. Notably, I'm pretty sure it's a rat, so it doesn't buff itself. And also has red, target Barbarian gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And last but not least, Keldon Champion, a 4-drop 3/2 that has Echo and haste. And when it comes into play, it deals 3 damage to target player. So yeah, Barbarian Tribal. You love to see it. We even got a 1 of Browbeat in here as well. It's just a little extra card draw / thematic flavor, I feel like. As for lands, it's mostly mountains, though we do have one single swamp, probably to help with that activation of the Possessed Barbarian when you do have Threshold, and 4 Bloodstained Mires to make that a little more efficient in finding it. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have a sideboard in this photo, but this is a really cool list. It's really nice to see typal decks just brewed up. I do believe Teebs is not super ingrained in the pre-modern format, coming more from an old school background, so having a very fresh take on a red aggro list is very cool to see. And while it may not be the fastest one, it does definitely have a lot of staying power, and this should be a very good matchup. So without further ado, let's get into the games. And here we go. Rob is on the left, Teebs is on the right. Now Teebs definitely going to be the aggressor here. Rob does have some low drop creatures to kind of fend off things. The Call the Herds going to be probably very relevant in this matchup to kind of stem the bleeding until he can hit a really big swing from his sneak attack. Alright, Teebs is going to go Mountain Go. Notably, does not have a lot of low drops. I think most of her creatures are 3 drops. Oop, yep, that elf is going to get shocked. Not quite a bolt, but just as good in this instance. Okay, that is a Ruby Medallion, functionally making all of Teebs' spells cost 1 less. Except for Shock, obviously. And Lightning Bolt. Rob pulling out these gorgeous forests. Talking a little bit about them, I'm sure. So I believe these are some sort of peel. I believe he had a friend do them for him. Very cool. Rob, please respond to your messages. I reached out about them. I want to see how much it costs to do some swamps. Alright, so we got a Finhorn Elves and a Birds. We're ramping. There's the 3rd mountain for Teebs, and we are going to see... Yeah, I'm going to have to read that too, Rob. Let me pull up her list real quick again. I mean, it's a Barbarian. It is the Possessed Barbarian. It is a 4-drop first strike. Has Threshold, but she does not have Threshold. Still, scary. 3/3 coming in next turn. Does not have haste. I'm actually surprised at how many Barbarians actually do have haste. It's not a creature type I'm super familiar with. It is very interesting. The art on a lot of these is pretty amazing too. This one by Scott Fisher. Alright, Rob having a fetch here. He can only grab a forest with this. Maybe weighing how beneficial that is. And is just going to pass. Has 5 mana up and doesn't seem like he can do much with it. There's a Browbeat in Teebs' hand. Potentially looking to double spell here. Oh, we just... Okay, yeah. Here's a Keldon Champion. 4-drop, but does cost 1 less. Echo Haste. When it ETBs, deals 3 damage to target player. It's also a 3/2. So I have to imagine we're swinging in with both here. Alright. 6 damage coming in. Rob dropping to 11. What was he saving this mana for? Nothing. We're going to go to his turn. His draw. Draws, it looks like another forest. This time the Force of Nature Forest, which is probably my favorite of the altars that he has. Alright, we're gonna get aggressive with the elf, swinging for 1. Play a forest. Yeah, that is the Force of Nature one. Very cool. Okay, we're gonna tap 3, second main. 4. Alright. We're gonna go find a big creature. Fierce Empath seeing a lot of play in some builds of Food Chain that I've seen recently. Not super familiar with Food Chain lists, but that's where I know it from. Alright, it looks like we're grabbing a Phantom Neshoba. And we're actually getting to the point where we could almost hardcast this. Needs 7 mana. It does have pseudo lifelink. Damage has to happen first before the lifelink happens, so it can't save him if a lethal attack is coming in. But let's see. Yeah, we're one land off of being able to just hard cast it, because that birds can make the white mana that his deck usually can't produce. No planes for that Windswept Heath to go fetch. Alright, we're going to chump block. Here's Empath. The Gildan Champion getting Echo Cost paid, that's what that was. Unfortunately, I don't think the Echo Cost is made cheaper by the medallion. I could be wrong about that. Alright, now it's Rob's turn. Are we going to see the Neshoba? That is a very good answer to the Barbarians. Okay, fetching to go get a forest.
We did a Ice Age draft in January.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like sealed Ice Age packs, and it was so fun. And I got 2 of those guys.
Oh nice. It's like an 8-drop 7/6.
8 mana 7/6, yep. And it was one of the best cards in the format.
How do you get rid of it, right?
And notably fetching before he draws, so he did already have a land in hand, it looks like, so
Like you're going 3 for 1 on a just.
he's gonna need one more land to make that happen. Looks like it's a mountain.
Oh, that's great. That's such a fun.
No one had like a wall of ice or something.
Very few.
Does have a wasteland too. Nothing really to wasteland in Teebs' deck. Alright, there's a Phantom Neshoba. ETBs with 7 counters. Every time it takes damage, you remove a counter. Hopefully those counters get put on. But yes, very tough to kill, especially with just burn spells. Okay, we're going to play another Ruby Medallion. Looks like Rob's going to get the counters for us here for the Neshoba, because it will be relevant. Alright, and there's a Browbeat. Browbeat is basically take 5 damage or let your burn opponent draw 3 cards. Now, Rob can't let this happen. That Neshoba, yes, you get to draw 3. That Neshoba, again, does have lifelink, sort of. It's a triggered ability, so it checks after, or it happens after damage happens. So if he does drop to 0, with both of those creatures swinging in, which he would, that life gain would not save him. But he's having lots of burn in hand. I believe there's a shock and a fire blast. Notably, the Neshoba taking damage does not remove it from combat. It is not a regeneration style ability. So Teebs just figuring out how to deal that last point of damage. Functionally has 6 in hand. Is very close. Unfortunately, I'm just checking the Barbarian cards. The Gildan Champion doesn't do anything. The Possessed Barbarian needs Threshold, which they're not close to getting, even with sacrificing the mountains. So yes, functionally 6 damage in hand. Can deal another 3 on the board. But your opponent gains 7. And you just know that Neshoba's coming in probably next turn anyways. So, alright, we are going to get aggressive here. Swing in. Gonna block the 3/3. This will put the Neshoba to 6. So next turn it only gains 6, which is something, but that's still an additional 6 life that the red aggressive player will have to deal with. Oh wait, sorry. No, I've been thinking about this all wrong. I even mentioned Neshoba gaining life after damage happens. So yeah, Teebs just has it here. All she has to do is fire off the shock and the fire blast, and then the 3 damage from the Keldon Champion happens, and then Neshoba doesn't get to trigger because state-based effects, right? Believe so. Unless I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Okay, so first strike damage happened.
Doing a little bit of quick Googling. No, it's, yeah.
Go to 6. And then
Oh, are we letting the damage happen here? This is not something that is just common knowledge. Like, at first glance, you wouldn't think it. You think Neshoba has lifelink. But lifelink is a keyword ability that functions differently than how Neshoba is worded and how Exalted Angel is worded. So Teebs may not know that she has the win here. Again, I believe I said in the deck tech not... Oh, and actually scooping it up here. Interesting. Okay. Well, we're going to go to game number 2. All right. A bit unfortunate. Just not knowing exactly how the wording works. And it is very weird. It's very not intuitive. But giving away the win there, unfortunately. Teebs will be on the play, though. Rob is going to mulligan. And a little movie magic here to cut to Rob keeping. We are still on the same mulligan to 6, so hopefully he finds a better hand here, but saved you guys a few minutes of shuffling and me banding on about nothing in particular. Teebs' hand looks pretty solid, has some lands, has a ruby medallion, has what looks like a creature and a fire blast. It's pretty good. Rob has a Blastoderm, some lands, I think I saw a Mana Dork, and that is going to be good enough to keep. So Teebs leading off. Mountain go. Forest go. No Mana Dork here for Rob. Oh, I think I saw... Is that a Naturalize? Looks like it. Alright, there's a Medallion. Which is probably going to get naturalized. Yep. Alright. Pass to you. Rob does have his mana early. That red mana being pretty important. There's another Ruby Medallion and say go. Alright, there's a Call the Herd. We're going to fetch here. Call the Herd, very good against this Barbarian deck where I don't think any of the creatures have more than 3 toughness. So being able to functionally trade with any and all of them, sometimes profitably. There is a lot of 2/2s in Teebs' deck, although that Balthor the Stout is a 2/2, but it is a Lord. Does buff all the other Barbarians. Notably is also a legend, so you can't have it out. You have more than one out. Alright, there's a 3/3 elephant. Teebs does have plenty of bolts to deal with. It looks like there's one in hand. But we're going to play out a Balthor. Now, this is still just a 2/2. I probably should double check the errata, but I'm pretty sure all these lords received erratas. Well, they became Barbarians, or whatever creature type they were buffing. Their errata text also said all other. Right, there's a Blastoderm. Fading 5. Don't forget those counters. Oh, sorry, fading 4, right? Yeah. And wait, no, is it fading 3? Gosh, look at me not knowing my Blastoderm facts. Alright, remove fading counter. That's right, it is 3 because it could deal 15 unless you have Fires the Alvamaya. I'm tracking. All right, we are going to get in with the Blastoderm. He's opting to not block. That is a possessed Barbarian that she played, so that is a 4/4. Could double block here. There's another Blastoderm. The 5/5 onslaught has begun. Okay, interesting. There's a Keldon champion. That is one that is definitely worth chump blocking with, I think. That bolt in hand, not doing too much. It can kill an elephant. The Blastoderms have Shroud, so no combat tricks there. Oh, it looks like Teebs does actually have a sideboard because I see a Flaring Pain, which I don't think was in her main deck photo. No, it was not. So bringing it in from the side, interesting. All right, Blastoderm is ticking down. Still able to swing in for a lot here. Double block will need to happen to take care of one of these Blastoderms. It is a bit of an interesting call, blocking a creature with fading counters, because you know it's going to go away eventually. But at the same time, taking 5 damage a turn from each is a tall order, and I don't think Teebs wants to be doing that for very much longer. Already down to 12. Alright, we're going to combat. Swinging in with the elephant as well. So there is the option for a profitable block here. But Teebs will need a double block with the Lord as well, which you don't want to do. Yes, you'll kill the Blastoderm, but okay, we are going to double block the one with 2 fading counters. It'll die. Ooh, and we're going to Fire Blast instead of shocking the elephant. Okay. One of those dwarves should be dead, right? They're only 4/4s. And doesn't have threshold. Oh, first strike. I totally missed that. They are 4/4 first strike. All right, that makes that a lot better. Okay, shock for the other elephant token. And get in for 2. Well, 2 4/4 first strikers are going to be a tall order to beat. However, Teebs is only on 7 and is dead to something like a Tyrant Dragon. If we can see Sneak and Show. We didn't actually see a Sneak and Show, or sorry, a Sneak Attack. We didn't see a Sneak Attack resolve the last time Rob brought this deck to camera. Hopefully we can see it this time. No, we're just going to play pure value engine. We might as well be playing Red Green Zoo here. There's another Call to Herd. And a Sylvan Library. Teebs untaps. Rob gonna remind himself of that Sylvan Library trigger. Good call. Teebs does have another Bolt. Can take care of another Elephant token. However, those 4/4 first strikers are going to be pretty good here. Alright, does have a Keldon champion, is still 1 mana off from casting it though. But looking to potentially soon go on the fence because that Blastoderm is gone next turn. And all Rob will have is a 3/3. Getting aggressive here. We are trading a Blastoderm for a Barbarian. I am not entirely... Oh, target Barbarian gets +1/+0 with Balthor the Stout. The combat tricks in this deck. It's throwing me for a loop. Alright, we're going to grab a Mountain. So yeah, first strike with a Lord that can pump up any Barbarian is super good. I don't think Rob saw that trick either. All right, there's a bolt for the elephant. No creatures on Rob's board, and suddenly he is very much on the defensive. Pass the turn. He has one card in hand, I think. What could it be? That was too quick. I didn't get a chance to check it out, but thinking about these 3 cards, he's very much in trouble here. Needs to get at least something worth blocking, or able to block. Still not totally out of it. He does have ways to put damage over the top. Is he thinking about taking 4 damage here? I think you only do that when you are going for the win. Your opponent is tapped out, but they could have another Fire Blast. So you don't want to probably take 8. Okay, it looks like he's only drawing 1 card. Looks like Kraken here. Doesn't like the other 2 cards. We're gonna shuffle them away. Drops to 12. Goes and finds a mountain. Are we gonna see sneak attack? He does functionally need 2 red to do it in the same turn. There's 3. Is this sneak attack? Alright, no. We got a empath. What are we finding? That will block something. Dragon Tyrant would win this. Is that what he's going for? Or do we go for an Neshoba? Neshoba can't... Actually, no, it can deal with those Barbarian First Strikers. It will remove a counter when it's dealt the damage, but it still will be a 6/6. Tapping 3. Recall the herd, make a 3/3. Alright, so no way to play out the Neshoba currently. However, if Rob can find a sneak attack, and if Teebs goes all in, this could be game. I feel like you have to leave 1 blocker back just to be safe. Swing with the 2 Barbarian 4/4 First Strikers. The tricky part though is Teebs is also only at 6. So the elephants are going to be a problem. I believe he has 2 Call the Hurt in the graveyard. Pretty sure. That's 2 more 3/3s. Okay, we are only swinging in with 2. Double block. That'll work. Oh, is that Sulfuric Vortex? Ooh, that might be the nail in the coffin for Rob. Alright, we're tapping 2. There's a Sulfuric Vortex. Everybody's going to take 2 at the beginning of their upkeep. No lifelink, so that Neshoba in hand, no good. Alright, untap. However, wait. Is that a sneak attack? Yeah, it looks like he's putting 4 aside. He still has to decide what card he's keeping, but I think he just keeps sneak attack here. Neshoba has trample. Teebs only has a 2/2. Take 5. Take 2 off the vortex. GG. I don't think Teebs has enough burn in hand to, in response to the vortex, deal damage. Okay. See if that was actually a sneak attack. It was a sneak attack. Okay. All right. Here we go. Neshoba has a lot of words on it, so I don't know if Teebs realizes that it's trample. Play the 7/7, swing for 7, block 2 of it, take 5. Pass turn.
Take 5.
I think Rob pointing out that it has trample.
You can put that. You can do it differently else.
Yep. Maybe saying you can reconsider the blocks in case you have something additional, but I don't know. There's nothing in hand. Teams is tapped out. Even if they could Fire Blast the Nishoba, that's not going to be enough. And Teebs scooping it up, and Rob takes it down with a sneak attack. Well, folks, we finally got to see the deck do its thing. GG's to Teebs. That is a very cool deck. Very interesting to see. Unfortunately, a little bit of a misplayer, just not knowing how a card works in game one. But hey, that's Premodern. Sometimes you live and learn. You rewatch these videos and you figure out some new lines or some new rules interaction. But yeah, Premodern, it's the best format. Let's be honest, folks. Anyways, thanks to all of you guys for making it this far. If you want to like and subscribe, that is the best way to support the channel. If you are already subscribed and you want to support the channel financially, there is a Patreon link in the video description. You'll notice I've started adding the Patreon's names to this little end section just as an extra way to show support. Eventually I'll get around to doing extras like, I don't know, stickers, that sort of thing. If you have an idea for something specific you'd love to see for a reward, absolutely let me know in the comments. But yeah, we're just kind of figuring it out as we go. Important thing is just making Premodern videos, which is actually what that money goes towards most. Travel expenses, gear upgrades, and of course, videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.